Have you ever been in class and you felt like this?
This guy's pretty bad.
Hey, don't talk to me, man. Right? This is gonna be on the midterm. My whole life is riding on an A in this class. Leave it, Doc! What? Earnings before interest, taxes, and amortization.
Well, if the answer is yes, then maybe you're suffering from cognitive overload. And yes, that is a real thing. But it's also referred to as cognitive load theory, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Today's lesson, cognitive load theory. Now you're probably wondering, what is cognitive load theory? Well, cognitive load theory, formulated by John Sweller, is described as how working memory processes information and includes three types: intrinsic, extraneous, and germane. Each type of cognitive load plays a crucial role in educational technology and instructional design. And by minimizing extraneous cognitive load and promoting germane cognitive load, educators can enhance learning effectiveness. Now, you're probably thinking, what? Well, let me simplify it for you. Sweller indicated that working memory has a limited capacity and stressed the importance of minimizing extraneous cognitive load to maximize learning. So, in layman's terms, he's basically saying that leave all that extraneous information out. Just teach what the student needs to learn. Because after all, they're only going to be able to retain a small amount of information. So the information that you do present needs to be the information that's important for them to learn. So here's another way to think about it. When you're in class and you're being taught math, you're just focused on math. When you're in language arts and you're being taught language arts, you're focused on language arts. The same for science and the same for social studies. So when you're in individual classes and you're being taught a material, that's easier to retain because, again, you're being able to see that information in smaller parts. But cognitive load theory suggests this, that if you're trying to teach them too much information at the same time, a lot of it's going to be lost. And the reason why is because it's basically like a bottleneck. If you throw all this information in, it can only go in so much increments. So they're not going to be able to retain all that information. So it's important that the information that you do provide is important. Now, how does this relate to SPED students? Well, that's a good question because SPED students don't process information in the same way as everyone else. When people think of SPED students, they think, oh, well, they have trouble processing information. Okay, that seems easy to understand. But think of it this way. A non-SPED student will learn something, they'll reproduce it, and then they'll master it. For a SPED student, it's not that way. They may learn something, but then they have to take a different path and approach in order to retain that information and then reproduce it. So imagine trying to take information like this and then feed it to a non-SPED student so that they can retain it. With cognitive load theory, that means that if you're throwing a whole bunch of information, some of that information may stick. But with a SPED student, if you throw a whole bunch of information at that student, it's going to get lost in the process and they may not be able to retain hardly any of the information. So that's why it's so important that we understand what cognitive load theory is and how it affects SPED students. Now, you're probably thinking, well, this sounds pretty detrimental. I mean, what can we do? Well, that's a good question. So what are some strategies to overcome cognitive load theory? Well, there's one word, differentiation. And differentiation is one of those special words. It's an umbrella word where there are a number of different strategies that one could use. And even though I'm going to only show you three today, please keep in mind that there are many, many others. The first is chunking, taking a lot of information and breaking it down into smaller parts so the student can understand it better. This helps the student retain the information because they're only seeing the important stuff. And then making it simple. Don't throw in all this extraneous information that they don't need. So, for example, if you're teaching two-step equations, teach them the two-step equations. Teach them the first step, teach them the second step. And even though it's important to relate it to their lives, you don't necessarily have to go in depth because, after all, the entire point of the standard is that they can recreate the two-step equations and solve them. So keep it simple. And then last, but definitely not least, is repetition. You have to repeat the information. Just presenting the information, showing them how to do it, and then having them do it on their own and then moving on, that doesn't help. That's why bell work is so important because it revisits the information that they learned in their previous class. That repetition, that's going to definitely help them. And they're going to be able to retain that information in their mind a lot longer. Because again, without repetition, it's going to get lost. So now that is cognitive load theory. Hopefully you understand more about it and you know some strategies that will help you. But those are just a few of the strategies. If you're interested in learning more, feel free to do some research on your own because there are a lot of strategies out there. And even though I'd love to go through all of them, I try to keep my videos short. Now, if you liked what you saw today, you learned something new, or you're new to the channel, please click that like button. And if you want updates on future videos, feel free to click the subscribe button and ring the bell for updates on future videos. And as always, if you have questions or comments, or there's a particular topic in special ed that you would like me to cover, by all means, drop a line in the comment section, and I'd love to hear from you. And until next time, class dismissed.